Guido, we're in Gallery 8. We're in your Ashmolean Now exhibition, To Those Sitting in Darkness. How did this exhibition come about?
The title of the show is actually based on an essay by Mark Twain called To the Person Sitting in Darkness, kind of excoriating the US's justification that they need to spread light to these dark places, in this particular instance, to the Philippines.
The exhibition has objects in
the space
here. New works that you've created, but also objects that were sitting in darkness until now. For example, the Pitt Rivers swords.
Ever since the Spaniards arrived in the 1500s, there's been this ongoing struggle for the Moros, as the indigenous Muslims are called in the Philippines, to kind of secede from colonizing force, and then it was the American forces, and then the kind of Christian government that took over. So it's like a centuries battle for self-realization, really, and these swords have been collected over that time.
The way that we're displaying the swords here is we're displaying them together with some fabrics, contemporary fabrics.
These fabrics were made in 2017, and they were woven in a city in Mindanao called Marawi by a collective called Sinagtala at a time when Marawi was a city at war. These weavers kept weaving. It became like a way to process what was happening. So bringing these two artifacts together to show that objects they're never from the past. You know, they always have a life that keeps on going. There's always a story within them that needs to continuously be told. One of the key artifacts in this founding collection is Powhatan's mantle. It marks this moment when the British colonial settlers meet the Native Americans in the East Coast, in Virginia, that would later create America as we know it, that would relate back to the Philippines, which was then known as the first American colony. And then I saw the images of the back, and then this idea of transforming Powhatan's mantle into a map came up. I can imagine atlas of all of the histories since Powhatan's mantle was given to the British. Prince Jolo was a prince from Mindanao, covered from neck to toe in tattoos. The print that is in the exhibition is actually an advertisement, to see Jolo. I think he was exhibited in various pubs on Fleet Street. Like, his story was one of the first kind of recorded instances of the transport of bodies for entertainment, for labor. At some point, Jolo falls ill and he ends up in Oxford, and his body is interned not far from the Ashmolean. Later on, a fragment of his skin was put on display at the College of Anatomy.
You basically created etchings in which you focus on the arm.
I guess kind of etching them into history, really, like rescuing him from the archive, and not as a specimen of curiosity, but as a human being.
There is this big kind of historical context, but then you link it back to yourself. And that becomes very obvious in your series of drawings that I see just right behind you at the moment.
During the pandemic, I realized that this building that I now call home, it used to be the Royal Arsenal stores just before the Kingdom of Benin was ransacked. On my daily walk, I came across this sign near my studio where, these hulks were parked right outside my studio in the past. These are like the jail ships. The view of my studio is the original Tate Sugar factory, kind of intrinsically linked to the birth of the slave trade. There's a language of the history of violence in a lot of things that we take for granted. The drawings kind of reflect on that. So you have the Benin bronzes on one side, and on the other, I've sort of composed these stacks of objects from my home. There's an element of world building. It's a world that's very much ours. The Kokozhnik tiara was a favorite of the Romanov empresses. The tiara ends up in the hands of Gladys Deacon. And then when Gladys Deacon dies, this tiara is then auctioned off again, and it ends up in the hands of Imelda Marcos, the Philippine kleptocrat who ruled the Philippines for 20 years. This sculpture, it's a work that I produced in collaboration with my frequent collaborator and wife, Frances Wadsworth Jones. As much as it is kind of a portrait of Gladys Deacon, you know, goes all the way to the Bolshevik Revolution and then travels all the way to the Philippines. And I think so many of the objects in the show, even if they are very much what they are, like a tiara or an etching or a sword, they contain like these multitude of histories, quite excruciating narratives that we do need to know. I think encounter is actually key in thinking about the whole show. This museum becomes a space where the past and the present can come together.
I would like to say thank you for your trust and for creating so many wonderful new works for this exhibition.
It's been incredible. Thank you.